Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here in Austin today. And here I have one of our amazing teachers from Austin ISD, and he's going to introduce himself, Mr. Sean Hopkins. But he's going to share some pretty amazing things about dual language. And I know that's something that we're trying to promote in the Rio Grande Valley and in El Rio Grande. And I want you to hear his perspective coming from a teacher here from Austin. And here you go. There you go, sir. Dale gas.
Well, we were talking earlier today about assimilation and how a lot of times immigrant students are coming to our school districts, to our schools, and they're having to experience this trauma of assimilation when they come here. And a lot of times it's this subtractive model of losing your language, losing your culture. And I commented to you, we were talking about this, about how that process sometimes happens even in our own school districts, even in our own schools. 6 years ago when I came to the school where I'm teaching now, we have a dual language program for the last 4 years. But when I first came there, I felt like a lot of the Hispanic students and Spanish-speaking students were in assimilation strategies where they were anglicizing their names, like Vasquez or something like that. They were very shy or trying to hide their Hispanic identity or being Spanish speakers. They were shy about speaking Spanish in public. And I really feel like with creating the right types of supports for those students in those schools, we're promoting not only their Spanish and English development, but just their overall socio-emotional well-being, because we're supporting them in so many different ways between having a great ESL program, but also having a dual language program that they can be themselves in those classes for those 2 hours a day at my middle school. They don't have to hide. They don't have to pretend to be something else. They don't have to be outside of that comfort zone where they can speak their own language. And I've seen great results. Also, our counseling department has done great things as far as supporting immigrant students at our school, and it's really a team effort. But that whole process of assimilating and having to change your identity or hide yourself or hide your identity because your school has a reputation of being a quote-unquote white school or an English-speaking school, that process creates a lot of trauma for students, even if they're not immigrants, even if they're coming from another place where Spanish is their first language and Spanish was more accepted, and then they change schools, and all of a sudden it's not so accepted. All of a sudden it's harder to be your normal Hispanic self that you try to be and you just are every day.
And what happens when students hear and know that you speak Spanish and you value their language? Like, what happens?
Well, like we were talking about today in our
and you
workshop.
can say that in Spanish too.
Well, you know, the affective filter, ese filtro que se baja cuando uno se siente más cómodo. Cuando uno se siente más cómodo y se puede hablar libremente, puede ser sí mismo. You don't have to hide, you don't have to change who you are. And it also, it creates more of a sense of well-being for the students. And we know that when students feel, whether they're immigrant students, English-speaking, Spanish-speaking, whatever, we know that when students feel safe, comfortable, loved, cared for, in a safe environment, we know that they're going to thrive academically, they're going to thrive socially, they're going to thrive personally. And that's what we're looking for, because we're addressing the whole child. We sometimes are so focused on the language learning needs of these students, and that's very important. But we also have to understand that it's the whole child. We're talking about a whole human being here. We're not talking about just what comes out of their mouth.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. And this is why I wanted him to make this video for us, because as we've been learning here the last 3 days, just hearing the input of the teachers here in Austin ISD and how they promote these spaces for our kids and dual language was really uplifting and empowering for me. So I want to share that with you, and I want to thank you, Mr. Hopkins.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge and experience with us.
Chocolate. Thank you.